Good morning, everybody. My name is Mike Malmsten. I'm the Sales Director for Enterprise Retail Sales in North America, and welcome to this webinar for Ideal Spaces, where we're going to be talking about how Ideal Spaces can be used to help reduce barriers to consumer engagement. I will go ahead and introduce Chris Dubuque. He's our VP of Strategic Marketing, and Chris is the one that will be guiding us through this webinar today. So Chris, when you're ready, go ahead and kick it off.
Thank you, Michael. Hi, my name is Chris Dubuque. I'm again VP of Strategic Marketing at 2020. Yes, I do have a French-Canadian accent, but I guess it's lovely at some point. So today the subject of our webinar is Ideal Spaces and how can Ideal Spaces be used as a lead generation and lead qualification tool to build better relationship with your customer. So let's take a look and dive into it. First of all, maybe a quick overview of who's 2020. Some of you may know who we are, and of course, you know our vision to help our customer make great spaces for life. So this is really our vision. We do focus on interior design. That's the only thing we do for a living, and this is part of our DNA. So really, everything related to interior design. Just a brief history. Maybe something that you don't know about 2020. No, 2020, we were in the past a kitchen cabinet manufacturer. In fact, during the 70s, we were one of the largest kitchen manufacturer in Canada. And from there, we created a division called 2020 Computerized Kitchen Design. And this is when we started to develop our own software for our own use, software that you know today under the name of 2020 Design. Then at the end of the 80s, we created a company called MKS Compute Group, focused mainly on software development. And from there, 2020 Technologies was born. And the main goal of 2020 was to develop software for point of sales and manufacturing. A few years ago, back in 2012, the company changed the name for only 2020. We got acquired. And now today we acquired also a lot of company competitors. And just to give you an overview of, again, who we are today, well, 2020, we have 3 lines of business. That's important to know that we do have software for professional designers. On the other hand, for retailers, large retailers, small retailers, and also for manufacturing. This is part of what we call our end-to-end solution. And when you look at our customer, well, you know, we have customers all around the world. We have offices all around the world also. We are today more than 800 employees. We did an important acquisition last year in South America, Promote. That was, again, one of our largest competitors in this area. So we acquired them. And we have offices, and I said, and support office, business development center all around the world. I talked earlier about quickly about the end-to-end solution. You know, for us, the end-to-end solution is really the solution that we put in place that simplify the communication between what's happening at the early stage of a project down to manufacturing and installing. So the end-to-end story for 2020 is really important, making sure that, again, we have full connection between our application. I'll come back to that later at the end of the presentation. Now, diving into the subject of today, so Ideal Spaces. So how can Ideal Spaces help you with your business? It all starts with, again, everything related to omnichannel and the omnichannel shopper. So the way we shop today is totally different from the way we were used to shop a few years ago. In fact, when you looked at the different digital trends that exist today, social media, mobile, user-generated content, or augmented reality, extended reality, well, all these things are part of our life today. And more important is everything related to customer experience. You know, the customer experience, what's important is you have to put something in the hand of your consumer, your customer, so you can build a stronger relationship with them, making sure that you can, at the early stage of a project, whatever it's a kitchen project, a bathroom project, remodeling project, well, you have something that you can give to your customer so they can start their own, what we call inspiration phase, so they can start dreaming about their project. So it's all about, again, customer experience. If you put something in the end of a customer that is complicated, that he does not understand, you lose them. You know that. And that's the way the web is working today. When you go on a website, you're looking at an application, and if you don't understand after a few seconds what you need to do, or if you have to wait after feedback that's longer than 30 seconds, when you lose you will lose a customer. So definitely, what you need is something to put in the end of the customer, so you can, again, move this customer from being a prospect down to a qualified lead, and finally to a buyer. So this is exactly what we're trying to do today with Ideal Spaces. When we look at the customer types, in fact, there's no magic here, and we haven't invented anything. There's three kinds of customer out there. On one side, what we call the do-it-for-me, so that's the traditional customer. That's basically more in a reactive role, so you're submitting something and they react to it. On the other end of the spectrum, you have the do-it-yourself people, so the one that will buy everything by themselves and will build everything by themselves, so that's the IKEA of the world. And then in the middle, what we see more and more, the do-it-with-me category. So really people that want to get involved in the early stage, but understand that at some point they need the expertise of a professional designer to complete their project. So this is really where Ideal Spaces is focused, with the do-it-with-me category. So when we look at the customer journey, in fact, the way that customers are shopping today is not really different from the past. What has changed is the media that they use to do the shopping. It reminds me of a little book that was written by Google a few years ago called The Zero Moment of Truth. But in fact, it started with a company called Procter & Gamble. They came with a concept called the first moment of truth. The first moment of truth is the moment where a customer goes in a store, then he's looking at products, so he's looking in the shelf at all the competitive products. So that's this period where the marketers have a chance to influence the choice of a customer. So Google came with this concept of zero moment of truth. In fact, today with the internet, with the fact that you can share ideas with others, that you can look at reviews, well, this moment of truth happened before even going in store, before talking to, again, a specialist, an expert. So this zero moment of truth is really where you can capture your customer. So Ideal Spaces, this is really part of the challenge that we had in mind when we created this software. So the path to purchase is no longer direct. So you have multiple ways to shop today, and something happened without human interaction at the beginning. So a lot of things will happen online, but at some point you'll have to go in store because you have, again, multiple touch points, and it is important to support these multiple touch points as you move along. So the solution is a omni-channel solution. So something that is available at home, also in store, but more important, in transit. So something where if you start your experience at home, if you walk in store, you don't want to start again. So you want to just reuse what was created before, and you want to enrich your project. So you want to make sure that you're not doing the same thing again and again and again. So the customer journey, if we simplify the customer journey, it starts with an inspiration and dreaming phase. So this is where, as a customer, I'm dreaming about my new kitchen, my new bathroom. Then you're going into a plan and design phase. Finally, after that, you refine your project. You work with, again, specialists to refine your project. And finally, you order, install, and you enjoy your new project. So this customer journey, something also really important, this is not a linear process. Well, the customer journey can happen, again, multiple touch points, and there's not only a single path. Yeah, that's important. So again, enrich the project regardless of the route that you take, but at the end of the day, the project that is delivered needs to be consistent regardless of the route that you're taking. So what is Ideal Spaces? Ideal Spaces is a lead generation, lead qualification tool. So that's a tool used by consumer to start their project, to start their inspiration phase about a project. So even before meeting with you in store, It's a tool where a customer can, qualify or pre-qualify himself based on your product offering. And that's a tool also that will force the customer to go in your showroom so you can, again, enrich. And instead of starting from scratch, you already have an idea what the customer is expecting. So that's really important in what we call the customer journey. It's based on 3 modules: inspire, define, and collaborate. And something important also, Ideal Spaces is it's an online tool. So nothing to install, nothing to download. You just connect to Ideal Spaces through a web browser, and then you have access to the application. Now, let's take a look at the 3 modules of Ideal Spaces. So the first module is called the Inspire module. You can see Inspire as a virtual showroom. So this is a place where you will showcase some of your design, and these designs can be used as a starting point for the inspiration phase for a customer. So let's just take a look at how it works. So imagine that what you're looking right now is your website. So from your website, you have access to a bunch of different things. So of course, you use your website to tell story about your own company, about your own business. And normally also on your own website, you'll have access to a design gallery where you will showcase some of the projects that you have done. So this is the place really where you will tell customer, well, this is what I can do as a professional designer or as a retailer. And most of the time you have, again, a design gallery, so a place where you have pictures, renderings of some of the project that you did. The nice thing with a picture and a design gallery is you can showcase different products. But what if you could show some of these designs and have a dynamic link? So one customer likes a design. This example here, I'm clicking on this example here. I like this design. So let's use that as a starting point for my inspiration phase. So instead of just looking at a static image, I'm loading Ideal Spaces Inspire module, and then I have the same image, but this image now is dynamic. What does it mean? It means that I can just look at the different options and finishes, so I can create my own style as a customer. This is not my kitchen. At this point, the only thing I want to see is your product offering. So a kitchen like this that I like the shape. Now, I can just play with finishes, door style, door finish, could be countertop. It can even be accessories or decorative items like colors for paint, could be flooring, backsplash. So just a way for me to picture what a kitchen with this style will look like. And that's what's important about this phase here. It's really the dreaming phase where I create my personal style. So this being done, I'm moving into a next step. So what I'm showing you right now is what we call a guided design approach. So we're taking the customer by the end, and we're moving from one step to the other. Something important also is this is not a linear process. What I mean by that is this is not a tunnel. At some point, if you want to go back, you can always go back and change, again, some of the options that you have selected, but you will never lose everything that you have selected before. So here, I'm moving into a questionnaire, simple questionnaire about appliances, and that will dictate, part of the proposal that I will do to a customer later. So here I'm selecting different options for island, for appliances. Then I'm moving into the 2D planning tool. So this is the only place where we will have a customer about information about his room. Why? Because that's the basic information we need to start to do a design. So I have access to a simple 2D design tool, very easy as you can see. So I can just move walls, I can change dimension, I can create walls, I can add doors and windows. So what I'm doing here at this point, entering the dimension of my room so it could be used later for design proposal. So of course, the more details that I will put in there, the more accurate the design will be. But we're not asking at this point the customer to place any product. It's just, again, the architectural element of his room. And of course, in this example here, I will delete this wall here, and I can easily change the dimension of a wall by just dragging, changing the angle, or entering an exact dimension here. So this is my starting point. This is my room. Now I'm moving to the next step. The next step, this is where it's starting to be interesting. This is the auto design flow. So what I'm showing here is based on the room dimension, the room layout, I'm proposing different kitchen layouts here. So let's see an I-shaped kitchen. So then what I'm showing, what I'm proposing is different appliances layout. So based on that kitchen layout, I can move, I can change the location of these appliances, and then I will propose a first design to a consumer. Something important here, need to keep in mind that this is an inspiration tool. Yes, I'm proposing a 3D design, but we know this is not the design. This is just an inspiration, a next step on the inspiration where I can look at an I-shaped kitchen based on the door style, the color that I have selected earlier, based on the room that I have drawn earlier. Then this is the first proposal. I like it, I can move into the next step, or I can go back, cabinet layout here, and just select a different cabinet layout. So let's say we'll select a, let me see what we have here. Let's say we'll select a L-shaped kitchen, also a L-shaped kitchen with an insula. So again, click on next, and what I see here is for this specific layout, I have one appliances proposal. Can go back to cabinet layout, select again a different cabinet layout, and then click on next again, and I will get another, a third proposal. So selecting the appliances layout that I like. Again, you can still move and change the location of any of these services. Click on next, then I get another 3D preview of my design. Something important that I said also earlier, this is an online tool. So what you see here is the actual speed of the application. So the time to render also, you can see it's pretty quick because no customer don't have time to wait, again, long time before having something on the screen. So it's a rendering quality that we know it's not the equivalent of 2020 design, but this is good enough for a customer. So what I've seen so far is, again, the inspiration module with the auto design. So the ability from an inspiration phase to start my project by drawing 2D room layout, and by just selecting different cabinet and appliances layout, then I get 3D proposal. So that's part of the auto design module in Ideal Spaces. Now, moving into the next step, of course, everything that I've done so far is just playing with kitchen layout based on the initial style that I've selected in the Inspire module. Now, let's take a look in Define and see what I can do a little bit more. So here, this is the kitchen that I did. At this point, this is, again, a live 3D model, so you can change viewpoint, and you can also change finishes. So this is not, again, this is not a static image. This is a 3D really project. So let's say I want to change flooring, basically, because this is not the flooring that I have in my kitchen. So I can play with different options here and globally change style for my kitchen. I can also work individually on specific products. So here, this wall cabinet here, I want to change for a glass cabinet. So when I select a product here, I have a list of different products that I can use, that I can switch to. So that's an easy way also for a customer just to look at, well, I don't like this specific cabinet here, show me alternatives. So the only alternative that will be shown is cabinets that can be placed in this exact location. So same size, same height, making sure that you won't end up placing products that does not work for your kitchen. We also have little things like what we call animation. So as you can see here, I can open doors and drawers. It's part of what we call the fun factor. So fun factor, it's important for 2020 because, again, it's a consumer tool. Now, it has to be fun to use. If it's not fun to use, again, you'll move into something else. So just the little things like opening doors and drawers, and you'll see later other things like playing with lighting, with ambience, or the ability to see the overall storage of your kitchen. These are part of what we call the fun factor. So this is my kitchen. This is what I've done so far. The specific editing that I did. The other thing that I can do is globally change finishes in my kitchen. So going back to Inspire earlier, I had 4 options that I could change. That was the door style, the countertop, the floor, and the backsplash. Now I have access to much more here. So you decide how many options you want to have here. And the other thing also is here I have access to the entire catalog. So if I look at door style, well, instead of having only a subset of the door style of the catalog, now I have the entire catalog. So I can globally switch, again, door style in the entire kitchen. I can work individually on any of the products or globally here like I did, so globally change the options for the entire kitchen. So again, an easy way just to experiment with a different color, different finishes, without having to individually select items. So all these modifications can be done globally. So here I do the same thing for the countertop, so I can easily change the finishes for the countertop. Something that you see also at the top, pricing. So this is indicative pricing. Could be turned on or off. Again, this is something you decide. So it could be indicative pricing like this, so basically a budget, or it could be something like $1 sign, $2 sign, or $3 sign, just to represent an average of this kitchen will cost between this amount and this amount. So, and again, this is something that can be turned on and turned off depending what you want to expose. That's something also really important to know, is everything that I'm showing today is the complete full-fledged version of Ideal Spaces. Many of these options can be hidden if you don't want to make them available to your customer. Now, the other thing that I can do, I was talking about the fun factor. So just, again, click on the hide cabinet doors and a quick way to see storage that I have in my kitchen here. Rendering quality also, I can work with different rendering quality. This is the medium rendering quality. And other thing that you can do that I was saying earlier is, again, playing with ambience. So if I want to see this kitchen with a night ambience, so again, I can easily just using a slider change the light intensity and change from 3 different ambience: night, cloudy, or sunny day. So it's, again, simple things and not complicated, but for the customer, it helps project themselves in this new project here. So the other thing also important is the 2D view. You can work both in 3D and in 2D. Some people would prefer to work in 2D, so we support all the plan and elevation view. And every product can be placed both in 2D and in the 3D view. That's really important. The shopping list is also something that you can make available or not to the customer. So the list of all the product in your kitchen, and you can have a more detailed report here with, again, every product, price, with price or without price, with a 3D view. So this can be print, and then or could be saved as a PDF, so the customer have the choice to do it, and then you decide if you want to make this thing available or not to the customer. Some of our customers only allow to save a 3D view, no item lists, and no 2D design for obvious reason. Placing product also. So far what we have seen the ability to play with different products. Now I can also, of course, add products. I can add cabinets, so manufacturer cabinets. I can also place in my design accessories, so lighting or just piece of furniture. In this example here, let me look for lighting tracks. So I can, again, click on that. These are all generic decorative items, so drag and drop. So I place the product here in my design. Automatically, since it's a light track, it will be placed at the right height. So by placing it also, going back into my 3D view, you'll see that since I'm placing a light, well, it will have an effect also on my rendering. So by just adding this light track here, changing my rendering quality to medium again, you'll see that it has a direct impact on the rendering itself. So products that we place in Ideal Spaces, of course, are intelligent products, since they do carry properties specific to a product, in this example here, lighting. When I'm done with my design, so I've done enough, then I can submit my design. By submitting my design, what I'm doing, I'm creating an account, and the design or the project is saved in the database, and then you have access to the project. Something really important also to say is ideal spaces, everything that I've done so far can be done without being logged in. We know that for many people, a barrier to entry is when you start something, you're asked for your login name or to create an account. For many people, that's a drop-off. So they'll stop it and they go somewhere else. So what we do here is we engage the customer, and then the customer has created his own kitchen, his own style. So he's already engaged. So then it will be, again, more ready to create an account and save only the personal information needed. In this case here, it's only an email address. So by doing so, when I create a project as a customer, then I have access to other features. And one of the features is the photo gallery. With the photo gallery, you can create a 360 panoramic image. The same kind of panoramic image that you have in 2020 design. So, and then this panoramic image can be seen directly into your own session here, so in Ideal Spaces on a PC, or if you're using the project and you're loading the project from a tablet or from a smartphone, then you'll have access to the 360 panoramic image using also the 3D glasses provided by 2020. The same, by the way, same 3D glasses that you use for 2020 design today. So again, this is generated and saved in the project space, what we call the project space of the customer. So I inspire, starting point, create my own style, and define the basic element for my kitchen. Define the ability to go a little bit farther and then specify, individual item and change and place individual item in my project. That brings us to the next module, that is collaborate. So collaborate is kind of the glue between you and the customer. So the customer has created a project. There's many things that have been done. Then this module could be used as a mood board and as a discussion board between you, the customer, and other people that the customer want to invite to his project. So friends, family. So really a place when you gather all the project information, and that could be used to move forward with your project. So let's take a look at the collaborate module. Other thing important with collaborate module, so here, let's assume that you're the designer in store, you're looking at all the projects that are available to you. So these could be projects you started yourself as a designer in store, or projects submitted by customer. So here, since I'm a designer, I have access to features that customers don't have access online. So if I go back here and select the project that we just created, you see there's a little button here called Export Design. What Export Design will do, it will create a kit file that can then be loaded into 2020 design. That's pretty important for many of you. So the ability to, instead of starting from scratch, to reuse at least what the customer have done before. Again, something important here, we don't have, our idea is not to create a tool, again, to replace a designer. It's really an inspiration tool to help the customer, again, picture himself is a new kitchen. Then when you're meeting the customer in store, well, you're basically taking what the customer has done, and then you're enriching the project. And that's the good opportunity to do cross-selling, to do upselling. But most important, the lead is already qualified. So again, that's pretty important. It's shortened the sales cycle by just the fact that the customer that is walking in the store already have an idea of what he's looking for. So in 2020 design here, this is the exact same project that I have created in Ideal Spaces. And as you can see here in my rendering, so this is the door style I have selected, the countertop, the appliances and the cabinets are at the same location. And then, of course, at this point, this is a 2020 design project. This is a 2020 design file. So it means that I can change it, I can modify it here. So in this example here, let's say I'm just deleting this angle wall cabinet and want to replace it with other cabinets. Well, while I'm placing these new cabinets, automatically you see that the door style is also selected automatically. So I don't have to, again, reset and change the door style, all the selection that I've done, it is automatically carried from Ideal Spaces to 2020 Design. So I can place cabinets. Of course, if I go back now, let me place that cabinet here, go back to my rendering view. So now I've changed my angled cabinet to just a blinded cabinet. So here I can finish the project in Ideal Space, in 2020 Design, and then save the images into my collaboration space. And this is what we're looking now, the collaboration space. So this is my project. These are some images that I have put in my project, and this is a summary page of what I have in my project. One of the feature is the, again, photo gallery. Remember, the photo gallery was used to create the panoramic 360 image. I can also use the photo gallery to put picture and then start discussion also with people that are collaborating in my project. Collaborators are people that you can invite or people that the customer can invite. That's pretty important. One thing also important is everything that I'm doing here, all my collaborators can see it, meaning that if I start a discussion on just a picture or just start a discussion like here, well, everybody that has access to my project, that collaborate to my project, can then answer and have access to all these discussions. So that's a different way instead of sending email and waiting for answer or whatever. Well, into a single space, you have access to the project itself, the 3D design, the photo gallery, the discussion, and you can also manage the different users that have access to your project. Talking about user, it's important to know that Ideal Spaces support what we call multiple roles. Multiple roles mean that, of course, a manager or a designer or a customer or an installer, let's say, can have access to the project, but they will have different privilege. As an example, the designer have access to the feature that we just saw, the ability to export to 2020 Design. That's the only role that have access to this feature. The customer don't have access to this feature, so you cannot create a kit file and go see someone else with your kit file. It's impossible. So the collaborate space, again, this is where you will store all the info, let's say the non-graphic information about your project. You always have a summary page. So when I access my project, I have this summary page that shows me, well, what happened, between now and the last time that I had access to my project. So I know exactly all the activity that had happened. So I know who had access to my project, who did what, and then if there's new discussion, well, I'll notify also in Ideal Spaces of any new discussion that have happened. So one thing important about Ideal Spaces. So of course, Ideal Spaces is product that we started investing in, I would say more than 7 years ago. Some of you know the ancestor of Ideal Spaces under the name of Virtual Planner. So Ideal Spaces was really our answer to the 3D space planning tool that exists out there. There's a bunch of 3D space planning tools that exist. The problem that we see is, well, most of them are really good. The problem is to only solve one part of the entire process, the entire customer journey. For us, the customer journey starts way before designing in 3D. In fact, it starts by this inspiration phase. So let me dream about my new kitchen. So something important also about Ideal Spaces, as I said, it is an online tool. It is hosted on Microsoft Azure. So again, this is something pretty standard out there. And it's important to know that there's nothing to install, no plugin, and it runs under all the major web browser out there. So Safari, Edge, Chrome, Firefox, so all of them are supported with Ideal Spaces. Now, we said at the beginning that Ideal Spaces is a tool for lead qualification and lead generation. Of course, what I've shown this morning was just one flow, a qualification flow where a customer start and inspire, then go into a define and auto design, get a result, and then walk in store to complete the design with a designer. It could be used also just as lead generation, so just the Inspire module. So after the Inspire module, you can save the project, just the selection that you have done, and then that becomes your starting point when you meet a customer. It could be used also in what we call a room layout submittal tool. So let's say you just want to have the 2D portion of Ideal Spaces where the customer will provide you with the room layout, so the room dimension with the openings, doors, windows, things like that. So that could be used as your starting point in 2020 design. So you can reload that project in 2020 design. Or it can be used also as a full do-it-with-me room planning tool, meaning that Ideal Spaces can be used to complete the project without going to 2020 design. So some project, simple project, could be done in Ideal Spaces. Some more complex project would need to go into 2020 design. So you decide again, depending on the complexity of the cabinet that you're using, the cabinet line that you're using, well, you decide exactly how you want to use Ideal Spaces. So Ideal Spaces, 3 module, Inspire for the early stage or the inspiration phase, Define, that is the, let's say, the 3D space planning tool. So Inspire can be seen as a virtual showroom, Define the 3D space planning tool, and Collaborate, where you store and you save all the information about your project. So really, Collaborate is used also as the mechanism to communication between the designer, the customer, and the other different players without having each time to go in store. Everything, again, can happen online. To conclude on Ideal Spaces is part of our big picture. So remember at the beginning I was talking about what we call the end-to-end solution. So for us, the end-to-end solution, it's much more than just the ability to take a project and to export and import it to a different tool. No, it's the ability to take, again, a project data and catalog data and make it flow between the different applications, meaning that if I start something in Ideal Spaces, I want to easily reuse this project into my professional design tool, 2020 design, and I want to use the same catalog. And as you know, for those of you using 2020 design, we have now the 2020 cloud data. So 2020 cloud data is really our data format that is common to all our products. That means that then a project starting at point of sales or starting at home can go from this early stage down to manufacturing using our 2020 Insight product. So that's really important. Again, communication, connection between the point of sales pole and the manufacturing pole. So Michael, you want to conclude?
No, well, I'd just like to thank everybody again for their participation. We really do appreciate you taking the time and spending this almost hour with us. Please feel free to reach out with any follow-up questions to myself or Chris or anybody that the contact information was provided in the webinar. We'll be more than happy to follow up with you and ask any specific questions that may come up as you think about this more in the next couple of days. And so with that, I think we'll conclude.
Thanks. Bye-bye.